And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 88th episode of Blockchain Talk. Another special episode. Today with me, I have a special guest. OKIN17 is his alias on Twitter. His name is Nikolai. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Nikolai. From EasySats and BTC mining. And today it's going to be a really Bitcoin orientated episode, which I'm quite happy about. Because generally on this channel we talk about altcoins and crypto in general, but a lot is moving on Bitcoin, and well, let's be honest, all other shitcoins and altcoins tend to look after Bitcoin to see their next move. So having a dedicated episode with a very enthusiastic entrepreneur here, that's always a nice given. So hello Nikolai, how are you doing?
Thank you for having me, Dimitri. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. So, Nikolai, tell me a little bit about yourself, your history with Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and the things you do within the space.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I fell into Bitcoin around 2019. It was really just the thing of somebody that was trying to orange pill me from 2012 already. It came about for a use case of mine. I had to send money to my brother in Dubai. I was using Western Union. Fees were killing me. Tweeted about it, and he was like, just send it to him via Bitcoin. And I was like, all right, just give me a call. We have each other's numbers. And 30 minutes later, I had sent my brother the Bitcoin. I'd already purchased, sent it to him. He'd received it into his wallet that he also downloaded at the same time. And he was like, how'd you do this? Said I'd find out. And that was the beginning of my actual Bitcoin journey. As it goes with most of us when it comes to Bitcoin, I'm actually just like that meme says. I started off with Bitcoin, then I went into the whole crypto shitcoin stage, and then now I'm at Bitcoin only. But when I was in that middle stage, it was also for a reason of being it was COVID-19. It was end of 2019, the beginning of 2020, basically 2020 April around there. Namibia went into lockdown. And I started looking at ways that I could earn using the internet and things like that. So I created a podcast out of necessity, and I already had the equipment for recording music because I'm part of a hip hop poetry group called Black Balkanite. And when I was like, what do I do with this equipment right now? We could create a podcast. So I called up somebody I knew in Australia. He's also an artist. A rapper called 1/6, and we recorded for what was like about 4 hours, what would be the first episode of #FromTheJump, which was the podcast. And for the first season, it was just myself speaking to creatives around the world that I know from all of the times. And as we move forward, I stumbled across what is the value for value podcasting 2.0 protocol, or let's call it a protocol. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, how do I do this thing? And I started researching Breeze and everything. And at the time, I was also because I was like, how do I make money? So I was looking at all ways of doing it. I was very much into Basic Attention Token by Brave browser.
Yes.
And I became an ambassador for them. I actually they sent me gear and all these things. It was pretty amazing. And I was like, oh no, BAT is the way forward. And the more I started researching Bitcoin, and the more I started moving further away from the altcoins and shitcoins and everything. And then when I got into the podcasting 2.0 and I started seeing, because literally you have to run a node. So I was like, all right, cool. Bought a Raspberry Pi, went through the setup things. I was like, okay, the Umbrel, let's throw Umbrel on you. And then went through the whole process of actually running a node, connecting it to Sphinx, and then connecting that node also to the podcast 2.0 index, right? So the podcast index, podcast org.index, whatever. So connected that, and then through Breeze, started like telling people, hey, if you want to listen to my podcast, you can listen to it like hours before or a day before it drops on Instagram, because I used to do Instagram Instagram stories. Then I'd put them up there, and then people would be able to watch them, what became Reels. I'd put them up like that, so people would then be able to listen to them off of things like Fountain wasn't there yet, but Breeze. But before that, I was still doing podcasting for a year before I found this value for value 2.0. So I was, on Spotify and all those things. and busy charting and being like, okay, we're going to be able to monetize this at some point. And then we found Bitcoin. So when that came in, and Breeze started writing about this Namibian guy that's using Bitcoin to get paid while people are listening to his podcast, that's where the real second use case for Bitcoin came into me, where I realized as a creative, this is a way for me to penetrate new markets and get paid for the value if people really feel that it's valuable. And then from there, it just started spiraling into more Bitcoin. And then I was like, hold on. I started reading, I went into research, did the Bitcoin for Everybody course from Sailor.org. Of course, read the Bitcoin Standard, read Inventing Bitcoin, read the Simplest Bitcoin book by Kesa. I read a lot of Bitcoin books, basically. And then recently did the Bitcoin for Everybody course. But before I started EasySats, which was actually last year, May 13th last year, we almost basically missed our birthday. We were just busy. We started EasySats that May 13th, but before that, I ordered Bitcoin miners. So this is how I came to all of these entrepreneurial things. Was I actually decided, okay, now that I know a bit more about Bitcoin and its decentralization and everything, let me see, because I did my master's in China. I was in Beijing for like 2 years until I finished in 2018. So I contacted the guys that I bought my MacBooks from and my phones and everything in China. I was like, can you guys get me Bitcoin miners? And they said, of course we can. They're made in China. So I imported so instead of paying, Amazon, all those crazy charges, I imported my own 3 Canaan Avalon miners from China directly, paid the import tax, went through the customs, everything, and was like, okay, so this is a viable route of getting Bitcoin miners into Namibia. I can do a business with this. And then, we started talking about charges and everything with everybody. In the meantime, I was like, okay, that's going to be a bit, getting people to the point of mining is a whole lot more difficult than just getting them to buy Bitcoin or download the Bitcoin wallet. Right?
Yeah, speaking from experience, I know plenty of people who are into Bitcoin don't really mine or run a node. They're like, oh yeah, high value, let's buy. Where can I buy it? Yeah, okay, that's the first step, but there is an entire network to support. So
correct. And that's what I saw when I got in, as you said at the beginning, you buy a bit. I was into shitcoin, so I was on Binance buying Bitcoin, and then at the beginning, of course, okay, now we've got Bitcoin. What can we do with it? Okay, let's trade it for some BNB tokens, and then let's trade this for Cardano, and I was full on into crypto trading, right? It was, and the thing was, I didn't just decide, let me buy it and just trade. No. I decided to go in and start researching trading strategies and risk assessments and all of it. No, I went in for a couple of months. I was just studying how do I trade. And the more I got into it, I was like, okay, cool. I'm making a little bit of money. I'm losing a little bit of money. What? And then I was like, okay, cool. But if I buy Bitcoin, the minimum I can do is something that allows for a charge of 300 Namibian dollars, because that's the equivalency that Binance charges you for withdrawal fees, right? For Bitcoin. So I was like, okay, how does the gardener, the woman that cleans somebody's house, the guy that pumps gas into your car, the person that's, putting your groceries into your grocery bag, how do they purchase Bitcoin if the minimum amount is 300 Namibian dollars and some people are only getting paid $1,000 or 1,200 Namibian dollars a month, right? Where would they be able to make that Bitcoin purchase, right? So I was like, okay, let's scour the internet. Let's look for information. And then I stumbled across Azteco vouchers. I was like, okay, cool. So I started reading about it.
I learned about Azteco checks through Mashankura from last week. And that was actually something quite intriguing. I was like, never heard of it before. That's actually quite nice.
Which is crazy because Azteco's also they've tested out the purchasing of vouchers Machankura has tested out the purchasing of vouchers of Azteco through EasySats as well. You see, and this is one of the coolest things that about creating something like EasySats was I created it for Namibia, right? Because I was like, how does the Namibian person do this? Okay, but the Namibian dollar and the South African rand is 1-to-1. So also, how does the South African do this if they wanted to be able to purchase a small amount of Bitcoin and be able to stack and DCA even over time? So then I was like, okay, I looked more into Azteco vouchers. I was like, okay, hold on. watched videos, read the documentation. I was like, okay, started emailing. I was like, let's get into the conversations. Thankfully, Baytion, Tom, and all of them over there, Paul, they're such great people. They were like, look, we'll walk you through it step by step. This is how the process goes. At the same time, I found an angel investor that was like, look, man, I love what you're saying about Bitcoin. How much do you need to get started? And I was like, well, this is what's necessary. And he was like, all right, well, go get it done. Like, here's the cash. Go make it happen. Show me that you can make this happen. And then that was literally the seed money came from somebody that owns hospitals. Okay, he owns this is a doctor by profession. Was like, okay, well, I believe in what you're saying. So here's the money you need to get started. You don't need a lot, so I'll help you out. And then that allowed me to run for now a full year and some just off of that initial seed capital, right? But what we were now able to do was we brought that barrier of entry from 300 Namibian dollars down to 20 Namibian dollars. Okay,
that's
a
nice improvement.
Buying cigarettes, if you buy 4 loose cigarettes in Namibia, it's about 20 Namibian dollars. So just that alone, buying bread is about 15 Namibian dollars. You see what I'm saying? So there is now a way for you to be able to say, okay, at least once a week or twice a month, I can buy some Bitcoin and I can see how this is moving for me over time. And then we were like, all right, the other thing about these vouchers are they're very easy for people to be familiar with, because it's like buying an airtime voucher, right? We're very used to buying airtime vouchers for our phones, and then you like get your airtime and you're like, all right, cool, now I can call people, I can buy data and all of that. But the same in Namibia, as you've heard from Machankura in most of Africa, we use USSD codes, right? So now when you actually recharge or put airtime onto your phone, mobile airtime on your phone, you're using a USSD code like *132*, then a 16-digit code and a hash, and that 16-digit code is actually what you are redeeming your airtime for, right? Now the cool thing with this is that's exactly what you're doing with Machankura. Like, you can use your Machankura *142 in Namibia. It's *142 *8333 the 16-digit code at the bottom of your Azteco voucher hash, and it will redeem. So that is already, people understand it. But the added effect is it comes with a QR code at the bottom that people can just scan with their Bitcoin wallet and say, okay, I don't use Lightning, I only use on-chain like Sparrow, Samurai wallet or whatever. Cool, I can sell it to you with that. This is going to be your fees on-chain, what do you accept? Yes. Issue voucher, you've already given the cash, cool. Here's your thing, scan it. Now you scan this voucher, and I've got one on my phone. I forgot that I had one prepared, an old one though, so you won't be, if you try to redeem it, it will tell you that it's already been redeemed. But the cool thing about this is now people don't have to show you an ID. They don't have to tell you what their name is. The same way that they would go about being able to purchase an airtime voucher and just give you the money, they can now purchase a Azteco voucher, right? And this is how they show up on your phone. If there's an option for you as the vendor or sub-vendor to say, do you have a printer to print it out, or do you just want to show somebody? So you can literally just on the phone say, okay, scan this. The person scans it, and then boom, it redeems to their Bitcoin wallet. They walk out the store, they have their Bitcoin. That is KYC-free Bitcoin, but we also make sure that it's not abused by criminals. We don't make huge amounts. This is to make sure that the average person can get a hold of Bitcoin. This is not to make sure that the multi-million-dollar Elon Musk can bypass things. No. He can go through and define other on and off ramps that we also tell people to use. So yeah, that's why we created EasySats.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I was so happy to have Machankura over last week. By reason, just from what you've said, that's the kind of innovation and technology where it concerns Bitcoin, where I see true merit for mass adoption. I mean, in doing these live streams that I've done with you, Bitcoin Dada, Machankura, I feel and I sense really that you guys are light years ahead where it concerns mainstream adoption. I mean, here in the West, they're really, how can I put this in nice terms without using swear words? Well, messing about with regulations and speculation, whereas I am like, the title of the Bitcoin white paper is peer-to-peer electronic cash system.
Correct.
I mean, okay, you can speculate all the well, but peer-to-peer electronic cash system, it's for making payments secure and decentralized. That's the main focus. I believe I said it also in Mashankura live stream film last week. That title from the Bitcoin white paper is my favorite title because it is all encompassing what it is intended for.
Correct.
And for some reason, people here in the West don't seem to very much get that part. And with that, I'm really referring towards the latest Bitcoin conference
Oh yeah.
with the taproot wizards, etc. That entire drama. I mean, yeah, I've shared my opinion on Twitter about it, whereby I said, "Look, guys, I respect ordinals, so the thing to create NFTs on the Bitcoin chain. I respect the tech behind it, but I'm somewhat opposed to it because it congests the network, makes transaction fees too high on the long term, and it breaks down, and it isn't really for what the Bitcoin network was made." Once again, referring to the title, peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So, yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
now
I mean, the ordinals thing is quite. I think it was just all of us reacted very fast, and we should have taken a breath and just looked at and remembered the history of Bitcoin. It's not the first time that people have tried to flood the opcodes and blocks with arbitrary data and all that. But the whole thing is
wars from
they have to pay for it. It's something that you have to pay for, and the sustainability model of that isn't there. And then there's things like, Bitcoin's most awesome thing is it adapts. Whatever you do to it, it's not a stationary object. It's not a wall. Bitcoin is able to adapt to what is thrown at it on different layers. Maybe it adapts on layer 2, maybe it adapts because of something that you didn't think about on layer 1 that already exists and you thought was a flaw, was actually built in as a feature that makes sure that this can then on another layer or something be worked out, or they have to pay on the base layer. Now, originally I was very angry about ordinals because it pushes up base, as you said, base layer fees, which makes it more difficult for people to open channels, right? To open Lightning channels, you have to do an on-chain transaction and even to close them. So this would then, of course, make it more expensive for people in what they like to call the global south or whatever. I'm just going to say Africa or in places that aren't the West. It's going to make it, but it's going to make it more expensive. This is the whole thing. I think ordinals after the block, like the last block is mined, yeah, they're gonna be very important. They're not necessary right now, in my opinion. But okay, people can do whatever they want to do with the space that they're willing to pay for now. And nodes will.
I can even push it further where it concerns ordinals. In my opinion, there are better chains to do so. I found what they want
They can
to do.
It on Bitcoin. We have Liquid. They could have done all of this on the Liquid second layer and issued all of the tokens and everything. This was literally done on the base layer because they wanted to prove something. That's it. Like, it could have been done on, and that's what I always tell people. Why don't you guys want to use Liquid? It's there. You don't even have to use Lightning. You can use Liquid.
That's
like
true.
Just go and do everything you want to do. What's like an Ethereum, whatever, you can go do it there. You don't have to go in. You can do wrap Bitcoins. You can everything, dude. You can have fun. The thing is,
that's exactly my point. They wanted to do it to prove something, did it on base layer, whereas I am like you said, you can do it on Liquid, but other better alternatives exist for ordinals to be implemented. Period.
I mean, I don't see it as exactly. So and as a side effect, you just made a couple of more people want to become miners who weren't miners because they're like, wait a minute, somebody got paid 13 Bitcoin for a whole block. They got the 6.25 and then the fees was 6.75. Well, I want in. Like, so you see, so a whole lot, even just with those small miners that can't really win, everybody started thinking about Bitcoin mining. So this ordinals thing, I don't really see it as an attack, a direct attack on Bitcoin. It was an attempt to maybe, but in the long run, I think they're just pricing themselves out and strengthening the network by saying, hey guys, look, you've got proof now, if you needed it again, that when the blocks end, from being issued, there's gonna or the subsidy, there's gonna be all his transaction fees. And if they were already back then when Bitcoin was so cheap and people were like, oh my goodness, it's dead, going to spend so much money in transactions alone, look at what's going to happen after the last issue. Crazy.
We saw it happen. I mean, there was a time they were like, yeah, Bitcoin's now officially broken. You need to pay $20 for a transaction. And at that time, I was like, yeah, but did you see Ethereum? I mean, it's upward of $70. I mean, come on, guys. And then a few guys also said on Twitter, after this weekend, it's gone. It was gone.
When they were claiming that they broke Bitcoin, I bought a burger and a beer using my Phoenix wallet. Right over here in Namibia, because there's 2 places, for now in Windhoek, where I live in the capital, there's 2 places that accept Bitcoin. There's more coming online. So my whole thing is, like, maybe in the West, it looked like something was broken. Yeah, it was. It blocked a lot of channels from opening, but this is why we opened channels before. We've been opening channels for 2 years throughout Africa with Lightning channels. So we can actually do this. I have 2 Lightning nodes. I run 2 myself. I'm spinning up more on virtual machines. So I think a lot of people in the West are confused by the arguments they're having on Twitter with each other, which also I was also part of. Oh my goodness, let's argue all the time. But man, I got stuff to build. We literally, as you said, like a lot of people, it seems in the West are talking about this whole governments and all of that. Cool. What we're doing everywhere where that's not the West is we're building from the ground up so that the people say, hey, this is what we want. We don't care what you guys want to impose on us. We'll change the damn government from you to somebody else if you don't listen to what the people want. And most of us are still democratic countries, so we can have those conversations. But to just think that the impositions that are coming in some of the Western countries are just going to automatically happen in the rest of the non-Western countries, I think is very disillusioned, because we are people here that are working to say, hey guys, look, here's the education, here are the Discord groups, here are the books, here are the articles, here's the debate, come debate me, let's have the conversation, and then do all of that to make sure that people aren't left out of the understanding of what Bitcoin is and what it truly does for people. Yeah, you can do pictures. There's side chains for pictures. It's all good. You can do on altcoins. You can do, if you want on Bitcoin, do it on Liquid. You can do all of that. The question is, what is your overall goal here? Is it economic emancipation for everybody that truly wants it, and the real, never before seen ability for them to have it the same way even Elon Musk can have it? Or is it to just have fun because you can? Because you can do that anywhere. That's how I see it.
You're making very solid arguments and actually voicing the same sentiments I've been doing in the last couple of weeks with the entire Ordinals and Taproot Wizards thing. I was like, guys, you are speculating, and I was always hammering on peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Don't forget, that's the primary function. Yeah, but we broke it. You didn't break it. I mean, it solved itself, and that's one of the reasons why I began live streaming in 2020. Well, with this series, among others. By reason I saw here in the West, they're not like you guys in Africa. From what I've seen with my interviews with Mashankura and Bitcoin Dada, you guys says, look, we're going to do something. Let's do it, period. And here in the West, they're like, yeah, but I want to make money with it. To put it in blunt terms, here in the West, they've got a poor man's attitude. It needs to make money, and if something becomes too costly, they are not willing to invest or search alternative channels. Few people know how to do so. To stroke my own ego, I know how to do so. That's one of the reasons why I'm in agreement with you. I know how to make alternative payment channels. I know how to use digital, and I've forgotten the term, damn it. Well, virtual machines, that was the term, sorry.
Yeah.
So virtual machines and additional layers, I know how to use them, how to do it. Myself at home, I run a node for Ravencoin, but also for Bitcoin. I have a little nerd miner that I bought recently. It's not one of the big machines like you have, but the idea behind it was I'm going to invest in a nerd miner for few reasons. Primary reason, it is a Bitcoin project by, well, people like us who like to educate and help the network out. That's the first and main reason, actually. But at the same time, with the few kilo hashes that it produces, I'm also doing my part in sustaining the Bitcoin network. And holistically seen, well, on a big scope, that's an additional, albeit small scale miner, which helps decentralize the network because I'm an additional person who's participating into the network. And that's something not many people seem to get. Here in the West, there's plenty of people who want to start mining, and they see the cost of, well, the ASIC miners, and they're like, oh yeah, it's too much. And if they have big enough money, they start doing so, throwing money at it, and then they see, oh, we're not making profit, Bitcoin's broken, it's finished, and they sell off their miners towards, I don't know, big data centers, other people who are genuinely occupied with it. And I'm like, dude, yeah, you didn't do any of the fundamental research where it concerns.
Come on, none of it.
I mean, even now, I dare say we're still in a bear market despite finally seeing some relief. But even now, I'm saying like, okay, your miners might not be doing profit and doing a little bit of a loss. But if your losses are like, what, $5 a day? Come on, man, keep them turning. You need to accumulate on the fucking down low.
Because you're still getting Bitcoin. This is what people don't understand. Like, that is the fiat amount. Like, whether the fiat amount of Bitcoin, which means what you will pay at exchange, let's put it, for Bitcoin is, right, goes up or down, and you mine let's just call it 500 Satoshis for argument's sake a day. You still mining 500 Satoshis, whether that 500 Satoshis is worth $1,000 or with $20, it doesn't matter. You're still getting that 500. So if you're mining to accumulate and to add like, I just think people are looking at a lot of the things with incentives a bit reversed also. You know, if you build something of value, people will pay you for it. They will, because it's something that they find value out of, and they would like to keep using it. If they don't pay you, you're going to stop giving them access or stop making it or whatever it is, and then they don't have it. So they will pay for that value. The same way we all pay for people that pay for Netflix. They find value out of it. There's people that don't pay for Netflix. They use other sites that are illegal, but they find value in those. Now, both of those markets exist. I understand those. But now the thing is, people want to say, okay, I can only make money if this happens. That's the old way of seeing it. So now we're looking at, oh guys, this is new thing, this new way of looking at the world. Bitcoin has shown us all of this, but we're still going to look at Bitcoin in the same way we've always looked at everything else. And that's, I think, where people are starting to get this confusion in what is happening in Africa and why it's, as you said, in Africa, we say, okay, what is the problem? What does the solution probably maybe kind of look like? Let's start trying to get this solution implemented. And along the way, ask for help from people that might have implemented or have some of the knowledge that how can we get this going, right? Now, that's what we did with EasySats. At the beginning, it was just a one-man, myself, going to bars, going to restaurants, talking to people, pestering friends and family for like a year. And then the more and more people started being like, hold on, though. I saw this guy get paid while he was at the bar, like the whole time money was streaming in, he's getting notifications. Why? Where is that coming from? And then they started asking, how are you getting paid from this podcasting thing? I was, okay, cool. So how do you spend it? Oh, I sell the Bitcoin to Landifa. At the time, there was no EasySats, there was no ATM yet in Namibia yet. Now we have an ATM. So it was a lot of different back then. And people were like, oh, now I start getting it. So when we created, okay, so EasySats and BTC Mining in Namibia are not actually companies. They fall under the company which is at the top of the screen as you had it, but it's okay, I'll just mention it's called OKIN Trading Enterprises. OKIN Trading Enterprises is actually my company name. And then underneath that, I have EasySats and BTC Mining as and TPOC, the educationals, as basically just divisions. Like you would have a marketing division. So I have divisions underneath within my company that do different Bitcoin things. This actually used to be a marketing insights and consumer insights company where I did a lot of research for brands on how they are perceived and stuff throughout Namibia and with some South African clients as well. So EasySats, let's start there, is as I said, that's what EasySats is. How do we bring Bitcoin to the masses in the same way we can bring airtime vouchers to the masses? And the way it was Azteco vouchers, very easy to understand, very easy to purchase. You put down the cash, you tell the person I want to purchase so much Bitcoin, they tell you this is the rate that you can get at. and this is how much you'll get out for so many Namibian dollars. You say, cool, I'm cool with that. You pay the money. If you're not cool with that, find another vendor, which is also very easy to do. Azteco has a whole map of vendors. On that map, you will find the ones in Namibia as well, as we update them as they're put in. Now, EasySats, I must say, it started just for Namibia, but we have expanded. We do have sub vendors in other countries now coming on board to test out how does it work. Does it work in the communities? Is it difficult for them to do? Luckily for us at EasySats, Azteco came on board and said, hey, OKIN, would you guys with EasySats be willing to take on some sub vendors just to help them get accommodated or used to it before they then do their vendorship accounts. And that's why we've expanded now to places like Kenya, South Africa. We're busy with Uganda. There's a couple of places that are trying to see how they can also move it. That's what I'm saying. EasySats was all about just solving just a solution to a problem. And then it became other people have that same problem and needed the solution. Now you can grow slowly and authentically from the ground up. So you'll see the Wolf Shack and Smoky Mare, the Rare and Smoky Mare. These are the two places that accept Bitcoin in Took, and there are others in Namibia that just haven't come out and say it. The Wolf Shack was the first one. They allowed burgers and beers every Thursday for Bitcoin. We did that for a couple of months, and then they said, okay, they'll take everything on their menu. Then the Smoky Mare came in. They also have paintball, laser tag, crazy briskets, smoked brisket, and like. But anyway, yeah, most of the food that I post is from those two places. These are. Everybody within the Wolf Shack, every barman, every cleaner, every person in the kitchen has either Machankura Bitcoin wallet, or they have a Blink wallet, which is also known as Bitcoin Beach wallet, right? Every single one of them, because we were trying to set up something whereby you can tip them from a QR code that will be on their social media, and I'll share it also, where your tips will then be split automatically. If you tip the bar QR code, it will go to all of the bar workers, even if they're not at work. If you tip the kitchen, it will go. So like all of those will be able to be that's how they can earn Bitcoin. And then of course I showed them how they would be able to spend it, because if you're earning Bitcoin and you're able to purchase, like Machankura was telling you guys, I saw the video, it was great, the session you guys had, and he was telling you how you can purchase through BitRefill, you can purchase airtime vouchers. That also works in Namibia, but only airtime vouchers for now work in Namibia. And I always tell people, now you can create yourself your own small type of entrepreneurial journey. Let's say you have a friend, and your friend's sitting next to you, and you guys are at home, and your friend says, hey man, I need to go buy some airtime, but I need to walk to the store because I only have cash on me. Right, so they take they're like, how much airtime do you want? Is what you ask your friend. Like, nah, I just need like 10 Namibian dollars worth of airtime. You're like, okay, cool, check it out. I'll buy you the airtime using Bitcoin, but give me 12 Namibian dollars, right? And then you don't gotta walk. No, cool. All right, cool. Then you buy them the airtime voucher using your Bitcoin through Machankura or through BitRefill, right? And give them that 16-digit code they need to redeem. You just made $10 physically from Bitcoin that you earned as a tip. Now you've still got the monetary value of that Bitcoin, but you made a profit on top of that, right? In what you did as a premium for your friend, the Bitcoin through you. So that in itself helps people see, wow, okay, it's not just about buying Bitcoin. I can use Bitcoin to better my life. I can use Bitcoin I can earn Bitcoin. Right, playing games, reading articles, writing reviews, all of that. And then through that process, I can then go spend it on buying a beer, buying food, buying, airtime, whatever I want to use. And that's how we also show people, not just telling them, we show them. I, over a whole entire year now, it's been a year and a couple of months, have only purchased my weekly airtime and my data and all of that, all those vouchers, using Bitcoin that I've earned playing games, through podcasting, through writing articles, through reading, all of those things. That's how I am literally for a year.
I mean, what you're telling me here is actually something most here in the West think has become impossible to do with Bitcoin. I mean, the earning aspect by writing blogs, by doing some creative work, even with gaming, etc. Most think, yeah, you need either to mine Bitcoin or you need to buy it. Whereas I know in the very beginning of Bitcoin, you had faucets and you indeed had even captchas you could fill in to earn some sats on the side. And here, most people in the West have become accustomed to you need to buy it because it is an investment. Whereas over there in Namibia with you guys, it still has this magic internet money aspect really rooted in it, as it should be, whereby you, well, can game, have faucets, do all those types of stuff. So I'm actually very glad to hear that such innovation, such roads are still exist over there in Africa, because here, to put it bluntly, in the West, people have become a little bit disillusioned, and you've got weirdos like Yudi Wertheimer from Taproot Wizards saying, yeah, we need to make Bitcoin magical again. Yeah, but creating NFTs is not going to work. This, what I'm saying, that's the magic.
Yep, it never stopped being magical. I mean, look, we're sharing information about something that was created by someone. Nobody knows who created it, but we're all able to do this. We're all able, Noster, we're able to, instead of liking somebody's tweet, we can send them Bitcoin, because just as a show of appreciation, which evidently is working crazy for people in China who have had Bitcoin banned for how long, but they're now able to literally interact with each other on a monetary basis, get funding from other countries even. So TALK education is basically, what TALK stands for is the pursuit of knowledge, which is why we created it. It was our first event, was called the TALK session, where the Wolf Shack was like, okay, OKIN, you keep talking about Bitcoin, let's just throw an event, tell us all about it. So they gave me the venue for free. I threw an event, got sponsors, everything up there, got the guy that orange pilled me and owns landifa.com, which is an on-ramp for Bitcoin purchases and sales. He was on stage talking, kind of like a small Namibian conference, very, very tiny, about 25 people. But it was amazing to see all of the people starting to get some of this knowledge. After that conference, or after that event, was when the Wolf Shack said, okay, we'll accept Bitcoin, show us how we do all that. Now, with the TALKs on this page, what it is again, information, right? The Bitcoin white paper. I think there's also something about Lightning that we've got in there. And just telling people, this is how you can get free information. Forget about paying a consultant. Forget it. Even me as a consultant, don't pay me. Here's the information for free. The thing is, everybody wants to be spoon-fed, and that's why I'll charge you. I'll charge you to spoon-feed you. But I won't necessarily charge you for the information. Zebedee there, right there. How do you play games and everything? We've even got a section where we have all of the wallets, not all, but the wallets that I've used, the wallet apps that I've used, and it's called our favorite Bitcoin apps. I think you'll, yeah. So all of those, Sparrow wallets there, Blue wallets there, links directly to their websites, right? It's not about me. Oh, you see, this page is broken. It's good that you showed me. I'll have to fix it there. Yeah. But it's one of those things where it literally gives you information that is there for you. It's not for anybody else. Yeah, that page it's probably redirecting different. I've had somebody working on the website, so they've moved some things around. But if you go further down, if you go all the way to the bottom of the page, all the way to the bottom. So like here, something as easy as putting your QR code and saying you can donate. This is my Machankura one, right? Superimposed on my Zebedee, like one that you can print out, which that's why you have my Zebedee Lightning address there. But you have my QR code is for Machankura. Now at the very bottom, you'll see we also have a Discord button, which we just created. We finalized our Discord group last week, where we throw all this information, books, articles. This video itself will be also put in the Machankura link. I'm actually putting up there tomorrow. So everybody that's in the Discord, you don't even have to go to the events. You can just join the Discord and follow along, read the info, go through the books, go through the videos. And that's what people are forgetting. The magic in Bitcoin is that the more people understand it is when you can make money. If people don't get it, what are you going to charge them for? It's never going to work then.
100% agreed. That's the magic of Bitcoin. And I wanted to say power, which is also true. That's the magic and power of Bitcoin. The more people who get onboarded, the more creative innovation, the more creativity is entering the network. And well, like I've shown here with ZBD, I mean, that's the fun side of Bitcoin, how to earn it, how to use it. I mean,
Exactly.
that's magic internet money. I know such a ticker exists on CoinGecko, that they made a special cryptocurrency called like that, but Bitcoin is the original and the only magic internet money when it comes down to it. It's by far the most secure and most developed when it comes down to it.
Correct. And most battle tested.
That's
most
true.
battle tested. There's no other one out there more scrutinized. They haven't even, I don't even think people have scrutinized nuclear power plants as much as they've scrutinized and hated on Bitcoin itself. Now think about it. How long did the hate of nuclear power plants last compared to the hate of, like, it's crazy. And how many different people hated it. Like, if you look at everybody that has been thrown everything they can against Bitcoin, including Bitcoiners themselves, right? It's wild.
That's true. That's true. I mean, even still, I'm quite known within the Belgian crypto sphere here, and even I dare say we are still early on plenty of levels where it concerns Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, because what about perhaps 2 to 3% worldwide of all people are occupied with crypto intensively, and the others are like probably heard about it or never heard about it, never used it. We're still very early, even during this period where we saw a tremendous increase of people adopting Bitcoin, getting involved with it, or at least having come in touch with it either through media, some article that they've read or something. So yeah, we're still very early.
I'll give you an example of how early we are. I told you I watched your video with Machankura, and I saw in there he spoke to you about e-wallet, right? Now, e-wallet is also a service we have in Namibia with also other ones for different banks. Okay. Now, here's the thing: when e-wallet came out in Namibia, it was about, I think, 2012, 2013, 2011, somewhere around there. Okay. It is now 2023. When that thing came out, most people's parents, most of the older generation were like, I will never use that thing. I'm going to go into the bank like I always did. And people were still using checkbooks back then, you know? So all of that was still a thing. Today, all of those elders, or most of them, 98% of those elders and those old people, they use more than one of those mobile banking apps. Okay, they send money all the time to the cousins, and so it's not a foreign concept to them anymore. This is something that a decade ago they swore they'd never use. Right now, it's a part of the everyday life. So that's how I also see Bitcoin, because I worked in the bank. I worked for FNB back then when e-wallet came into Namibia, and I was like, oh, this thing is okay. How's this gonna? And from then, I actually have seen that entire thing. So now, when you look at a thing like Bitcoin, and you're like, hold on, and you start understanding how it's working, you're like, okay, hold on. This, whether people understand it or not, is going to be where it's going to be part of, like the internet is to everyday life now. Like, literally, if you want to know what the menu at a restaurant is, you don't call them. You look it up on their Facebook page or their website, and you're like, oh, they got something new on the menu. Let's go try it out. That's the world today. But it was unheard of 20 years ago, 15 years ago. People wouldn't be doing that.
That's true.
And that's how quickly it moves.
And even Bitcoin itself has seen a lot of evolution. I mean, with the very first Bitcoins, the hashes, the passwords you had to remember, it wasn't like what it is today that you can scan with a QR code. I mean, it wasn't even in the hexadecimals. We're talking about very early Bitcoin. And people still are saying, and I find it now, how to transfer Bitcoin, very, very simplified already. And there are already people telling me today what we're using for general Bitcoin transfers can even be more simplified. I'm referring here to a project called Nexus. I've got a few stalkers from them on my Twitter, so I hope they're happy I'm doing a mention. Never looked deep into it, but they're talking about we can even make it more simple. And I'm like, go ahead, because that will further drive the innovation for Bitcoin itself.
It will. It will. I mean, look, the thing is, remember, as we just said, I mean, I came in 2019 into Bitcoin, basically. But when you look at it, When did the Lightning Network start really being introduced? Right? And then Lightning addresses, LNURL, withdrawal and authenticators. All of that is like the last 2 to 3 years.
That's true.
Like, so
I mean,
what's literally gonna happen after the next halving? Come on, guys. In between two halvings, we've had this much innovation and not just in Lightning, even on just things that are happening with Bitcoin alone and how people are understanding the coursework of things like Bitcoin for developers and going in. I mean, I never thought in 2019 I'd be doing I did a course, but I finished that course right after I finished my one for Bitcoin for everybody. Now, the point of that is to say, and I have them on this page, directly linked. People can go and get that information. They can go do the course. I'm not smart. I just did the work. And that's what people need to understand. It's not about being intelligent. It's about doing the work. Because even people that sound like they're intelligent, not intelligent. They just did the work. No, a bit up, just a bit up. You're right here. This one, the free Bitcoin course with certificate. So you can go right there and you can sign up with your Google. You can whatever burner email and get your name. And then once you pass, you get a free certificate. This is the Bitcoin for everybody one, right? It's a 12-hour course. It took me 3 months because I really enjoy studying. I did all the side work, getting that knowledge in there. I mean, this is what it's all about. Share the information because even this course, it's free. What am I going to do? Charge people to give them info to a free course? Like, no, I'm going to give you the info, but I'm not going to spoon feed you. You want me to spoon feed you? I'm going to charge you. I got no spoons in my hand.
no, on that account, I follow you. I've had, like you as well, had plenty of discussions with people who wanted to discuss Bitcoin and, well, my tag on Twitter, crypto educator. Okay, I put it more general, not Bitcoin. I have been criticized for it a few times already, but the general gist is I'm not going to convince people to do something. I can only educate the people who want to be educated on Bitcoin,
Correct.
on crypto in general. And that's one of the reasons I stopped going into discussions with people about that has a redeeming factor and you should do that. I'm like, no, guys, just know your fundamentals. What is proof of work? What is the history behind it? What does Lightning Network do? How is it built from the ground up, etc.? That you have a good understanding of Bitcoin and everything that is built upon it, so that you may make better choices, that you learn the alternative payment channels, how everything works, and why it is as solid. And yeah, I mean, one of the last discussions I had, sometimes I do have them, was, I believe, with Dan Held, where he was talking about how ordinals and taproot wizards were so great for Bitcoin. I've noticed he changed his tune after the Bitcoin conference, which I'm happy about. In the beginning, he was very pro, whereas I was like, yeah, but dude, congestion of the network. And he was like, yeah, I know, but the Lightning Network. And I was like, Lightning Network indeed is a solution. But if congestion remains on main chain, it might affect Lightning Network, etc. So I gave some good arguments, and it became painfully clear that even some of the bigger influencers, the big voices of Bitcoin, lacked severely in the fundamental knowledge of Bitcoin and everything which goes around about it. And I was like, dudes, are you serious?
That's the thing. People get caught up in the arguments. People get so caught up in the arguments, they forget to build. They forget to educate. They forget why we're actually on Twitter to discussing Bitcoin. We're not on Twitter discussing Bitcoin because we want cool points. No, that's not the point of doing this. The point is to figure out more, because this is a journey. Like I always say, like at the beginning, I was also one of those. Look, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist through and through. I'm just not as angry as I always was, because like I understand people need to go through and some of us Bitcoin maximalists, we do a disservice in allowing people to go through the same education that we did. I was a shitcoiner. I was into Cardano. I believed in Charles with Cardano. I staked ETH. I did all of those things. I did them, right? But I believed that I was doing the right thing till I learned, till I sat down, researched, read the information, ran the real stuff, like literally went in and said, okay, I'm not just going to run an Umbral. I'm going to run a Raspberry Blitz node and actually do the commands and get into command line, get gritty, Find out how this works. And then the more you start doing this, you'll be like, oh, okay. Well, let me look at Cardano again. And you're like, wait, what's happened since the time when Charles was talking all about this Ethiopian thing and all? What happened? Like, Lightning networks already come. We've got Lightning addresses. Okay, cool. It's not the most perfect system. That's nobody's saying it is. Nothing's perfect. But is it possible for people to use it? Oh, okay. It's becoming more and more centralized. All right, but you can run a node. You can run Telecoin on that node. Then you can connect your Zeus wallet, or you can connect a terminal, Lightning terminal, and connect Zeus through there. And you can literally, there's ways to even get a Lightning address non-custodially through your node and Telecoin. So don't talk about it's becoming more centralized. No. You're just using more centralized systems. Now, I also use centralized systems. I do use them, but I also use decentralized ones. The whole point is you have options, and you need to know how both of them work, or you will be confused, and people will just impose centralized systems on you. Now, that's the difference of knowing your choices and what they are. If you don't know better, you can't do better. And that's also the thing of Bitcoin. We didn't know better till we knew better. That's why we became Bitcoin. And as we go further along this journey, there's only one end. You get to become Bitcoin only. Even if you become tolerant of other cryptocurrencies and people talking about them, you'll be like, bro, that's okay. People talk about random things all the time. That doesn't mean that they're going to do what Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has done what it set out to do since the beginning. Can I send you Bitcoin without anybody stopping this happening? Yes, indeed. Okay, maybe we don't use Lightning. All I got to do is pay that on-chain fee. Can somebody still charge? No, they can't. So the whole thing is, we have a possibility that didn't exist before. That's the first thing. Africans have a choice. Asians have a choice that they never, ever had before. They had to go through brokers and who and pay what and got scammed how many times. Now we can. We have this option, and we can do it ourselves. I can run a Raspberry Pi, or I can run a node off of an old laptop, or I can just run Blisco. What was the other one? Like, there's so many different apps that now have neutrino nodes on your phone. So no, people need to stop making excuses and use the technology, the tools that are there, and then rather write reviews about what's good or bad about the technologies and those tools, and let's improve them. But this arguing with each other on Twitter is a waste of time. Look, we've already spent almost 20 minutes talking about ordinals. It's a waste.
Yeah, I agree completely. The tech is available, and even on my website, in the articles that I've written about Bitcoin, that's the red line I'm mentioning. The tech is available. It is quite easy. You want to support the network? I mean, even your smartphone, the current modern phones here in the West, are capable to run a Bitcoin node. They've got enough memory size to download the entire blockchain and run the node from there. It can be done. Okay. It's more efficient to do it on a laptop or a desktop computer, naturally, but it can be done.
And more secure.
And more secure, naturally. I mean, the argument you gave with the Raspberry Pi, I mean, those are very small CPU computers. They're extremely cheap.
Something like this. It's an old box.
I mean, if you are a very creative mind, you can do plenty of stuff with those Raspberry Pis,
Yeah.
and running a node is probably one of the simplest things you can do. I mean, it doesn't use that much electricity. You run the node 24/7. It works, and you're sustaining the blockchain. I mean, it's bloody easy. I mean, even the nerd miner that I have here is loosely based on a Raspberry Pi when it comes down to it. I mean, I keep it turning here just to support the network. I do not expect to make any sats with it. But to me, it's the idea that counts, that I'm adding to the network, that there's an additional, decentralized node. Naturally, my node on my own computer was before I had the nerd miner, but still, I've been supporting Bitcoin from the very beginning. And I might say for myself, I'm one of those laser-eyed maxis, despite me talking about crypto, by reason I own Bitcoin, I support the network, by mining. Naturally, it's a few kilohashes, but hey, whatever. And I'm running a node 24/7. I mean, I'm doing more on my part
then
than
a lot of people that argue online. Yeah, you are doing more for the network than more people that are arguing online. Would I call you a maxi? How many other coins you hold?
not that much, actually. I've always said in my
But
courses,
that for me is the deciding factor. Like I only hold Bitcoin. I only hold Bitcoin. I only speak about Bitcoin. I only educate about Bitcoin. All of that. Everything I do is BTC only. And I do that because my conviction, firstly, is that high in what I have studied, what I have ran, what I have seen with my own eyes. I've had nodes fail to spin up, because I've been trying out things. I've broken some things on a virtual machine because that's why they're there. So you can go into the conf file, mess around and see what's going on here and figure things out. But do you do way more than a lot of people that claim themselves as maxis? I would probably say yes, you do. Yes, you probably do. But that's the whole thing. People are also so fixated on titles. Maxi was supposed to be a term. It was a term that was Vitalik came up with that shit way back. That it wasn't even meant to be what people reappropriated it as, So this is like a term that was supposed to be a slight at Bitcoiners, that Bitcoiners took and said, no, I'm gladly a Bitcoin maxi. You know what I'm saying? And then people were like, no, how dare you be a Bitcoin maxi? Bro, what's wrong with you? Calm down. The whole thing is, again, fiat mindset. People are very, very much on these titles, and that doesn't matter. What's the proof of work? Show me. How many people are you trying to show how Bitcoin works, how it can help them, all of those things. If that's what you're trying to do, you're helping move the movement forward and helping people actually see the use cases and usability of Bitcoin. Other than that, I just call everything else noise. It's noise. It might be funny noise every now and then, but it's basically noise.
My main goal is educating about Bitcoin. I mean, okay, I talk about other coins, give feedback or etc. But when it comes down to it, I'll be referring back towards Bitcoin and always say, look, Bitcoin is a solid because reason A, B, C, D. And I do not hesitate to call out other shitcoins or altcoins by saying you've taken Bitcoin code and you're trying to, you adjusted it and trying to sell it as something new. But in essence, you didn't really change much. So what the hell are you doing? And plenty of altcoins just like that. Yeah, I mean, especially since the 2017-2018 boom, then it was extremely popular to make Bitcoin copies. I mean, the entire internet was littered with Bitcoin knockoffs. And this is even going to tell a certain part of Bitcoin history, even Ethereum history, not well known to the public, but Ethereum originally was started as an alternative to Bitcoin. They only changed tune in the few months after launch, and that the foundation was really created. But they said, no, we are now a development platform. Great. But I know you guys started out as a cheap Bitcoin imitation. How do I know? They've been working proof of work up until 2020. 2022. My apology.
Yeah.
And then they switched over towards proof of stake, whereby they could say, oh no, we're something new, we're a real development platform. No. The proof of work you guys have been using is originally from a Bitcoin code copy. You adjusted the block times, you adjusted the amount of money towards unlimited, and then you started meddling around with improvement protocols to initiate burns, to do some additional developments like NFTs, etc. But in essence, you guys were a cheap copy of Bitcoin. So Ethereum
everything is like what people keep forgetting. And this is one thing that I always speak about, especially at EasySats events or any of the lectures that I get to do thankfully, I've been blessed enough to speak at universities, or at least one university recently. But the thing about Bitcoin people keep forgetting is Bitcoin is not an invention. Like, people get it so confused. It's not an invention, it's an innovation. It is built upon the back of many other technologies that were also battle tested over time. And as such, like, it's almost like Satoshi was just a puzzle master. And the whole thing was a puzzle. Nobody ever saw how all the pieces fit together. And then Satoshi sat down at the table and was like, hey, check it out. This is the picture. And everybody was like, oh my God. And then instead of saying, oh, I'm taking this picture home and you guys can only look at it if you pay me, Satoshi put it out and said, here you go, it's free. And that's why they were able to make copies. If it was a closed source system, like Satoshi could have changed this entire thing and made mad money. It could have been a whole lot of different things that happened with Bitcoin. But everything that happened with Bitcoin was for a reason. Now, okay, people went and took the code and made Litecoins and all those other things. But as you said, they were used as most Bitcoin maxis, ones that aren't yelling at people all the time, even though I yell at people most of the time, is that many of these technologies, where do they end up? They will end up on the most secure network. They will end up where they know it cannot be altered just because Vitalik wants to make a change and says, hey guys, I'm pausing the network. You can't make anything happen for the next 2 hours because I want to do some shit on the code or whatever the hell you want to do. Like, that cannot happen. That's why these technologies like Lightning Network, which originally dated from Litecoin, comes through like that, because people are like, wait a minute, okay, we found something that can work, but where we're at, really, this is where we're going to do? No, it's going to migrate to the greatest chain. And that is Bitcoin. That's it.
And what I also like to mention in my Crypto Bull episodes, those are the live streams I do whereby I analyze a coin. Generally, before I begin with the technical analysis, you can see it on all my videos, I'm going to say, let's take a look first at the market sentiment, mainly Bitcoin, by reason it is still the most dominant coin, and all other altcoins, either directly or indirectly, are associated towards Bitcoin. That's a given fact, period. I mean, I always smile when my feed is slowly filling up with professional technical analysts saying, oh, look, and it's going to break for that level, that shitcoin and that altcoin. And I'm like, dude, I'm just looking at Bitcoin. They work in tandem, guys. I mean, all theories you're spewing about here, they're nonsense, pure.
They follow Bitcoin. They just follow Bitcoin. I mean it's the craziest thing.
Even when it concerns Ethereum, they're like, yeah, but it's second biggest. It's going to, top over Bitcoin. I'm like, it might occur, but let's not forget, Ethereum is backed by a great amount of Bitcoin, which is held in custody with the Ethereum Foundation. So if Ethereum goes up, it means Bitcoin is going on up.
Ethereum has its own problems right now. But if you look at just globally, let's just look at globally. You know, it's not even a thing about Bitcoin versus altcoin, shitcoins for me anymore, because I drove the other day. I was just driving around, you know, in the car, listening to the news, and then they're like, okay, now to go over to commodity prices and exchange rates, and then they go through gold, and then they get to Namibian dollar versus US dollar, and then they go, and the current Bitcoin price is. Period. They didn't mention anybody else. Okay, they said the current Bitcoin price. Apparently, they've been doing this for weeks, and I didn't know. And I was like, okay, hold on. I didn't have to call up the people and be like, hey, please tell people what the Bitcoin price is. No, because they could see, because they do their own research, they started being like, okay, we're starting to understand. Let's at least let people know. Let's not keep the information from them. Let's tell them daily, what is the fiat price for Bitcoin in Namibian dollars? And that I find amazing. Like that's to show. I just say that to tell people, if you think Bitcoin is dead, if you think Bitcoin doesn't work, I mean, we've got legislation coming in, or it's already come in, but it's effective end of this year, where all of our cell phone numbers have to be registered, like to our names. It's called it's RICAing. It happened in South Africa as well. Now, this has been proven not to work in South Africa. I don't even know why we're doing it, but okay, I know why. Of course, they're trying again when the CBDCs come in, all of this stuff integrates. But the crazy thing is, what does Bitcoin allow? Now, all of our phones, whether you have a new Android, a new iPhone, whatever, right? They all have eSIMs. And eSIM companies now allow you to purchase your eSIMs with Bitcoin. What are you telling me Bitcoin doesn't help people? I can now buy an eSIM. I don't have to go and fully know. No, I'm not doing that. Catch me on WhatsApp, right? With my eSIM number. Catch me on Twitter. Catch me on Nostr. Why? Because I can still get data. I can still get data via my eSIM. So the whole thing is, without the information, everybody will say, oh no, my only chance is I have to go and register the SIM card. No, it ain't. You need to know your options. And that's the same thing as studying Bitcoin or everything. Even if you're going to go study Ethereum, whatever, go study what you're going to go study. Pay your school fees in that's what we call dealing with shitcoins. Pay your school fees and then come graduate to Bitcoin only, the same way everybody else that had to go through that goes through that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was so happy. Why I am so happy to have you here, and had Bitcoin Dada over and Mashankura, because that's really showing creativity with Bitcoin and that it's still bloody alive. I mean, if I were to go down here by our outrage-based media, I hope I'm not getting flagged here by YouTube by saying that one. Bitcoin indeed seems dead. Whereas I know, I mean, here in Belgium, I have takeaway.com. I order my pizza and I can pay with Bitcoin. There are other venues where I can pay with Bitcoin. Yep. Beer, drinks, whatever. Services even. People are saying Bitcoin's dead. I mean, sorry. TikTok, other block, some sats paid, done. I mean, dead? What are you guys talking about?
I mean, look, people always say what they want to say. Another thing we do with EasySats is we try to reach out to professionals, not just organizations, not just restaurants, but I mean, we've spoken to architects, builders, lawyers that all now accept Bitcoin, doctors that accept Bitcoin. That there are more and more people, individuals, as they firstly, the reason that a lot more are coming on board, and I must give props to the original Bitcoiners in Namibia that spoke with legislation and went there and argued to say, hey, look, this Bitcoin thing, it's different. Let's talk about it. Let me show you what's going on. And actually went through to try and orange pill ministers. You know what I'm saying? Those people made it that Bitcoin is not illegal in Namibia. The usage of Bitcoin or any, we call them virtual assets is what the legislation says here, or any using virtual assets is not illegal in Namibia, right? You can do that. Mining in Namibia, mining Bitcoin, it says Bitcoin though, I don't know about the others. Mining Bitcoin in Namibia will not be taxed. Like things like that are already written in the directives from like the FIC them and the Bank of Namibia them. So there's a lot of things that have already been established to say, hey, Namibia, you guys are good. But if the Namibians don't know that it's not illegal, if they don't know that they can do these things, and that's why we go out with these educationals and also show the proof of work. We put up videos of me buying beer and buying burgers. I have arguments at bars where guys are like, nah, that Bitcoin thing is a scam. I'm like, okay, how much is your tab? How many beers have you had? Okay, watch how I pay your beer tab right now. And I pay it in Bitcoin. And they're like, oh my, how? And I'm like, well, there you go. It's a scam. So you tell me how. If it's a scam, you tell me how I paid for your beer. And then we start getting into it's not an argument anymore. Now it's oh shit. It's not, sorry for my language, but it's oh, how did this happen? Oh, okay, maybe you're not lying. Let's figure out, because the thing is, sometimes we just attack people. No, just show them. It's like smacking $1 million down on the table and saying, call me poor again. No, now you're smacking down information, proof of work. Here, in your face, I've shown you. Deny it. I've shown it to you in front of your friends, in front of your girlfriend, in front of whoever you were trying to impress by saying Bitcoin isn't working, is dead, is old tech. I've shown it to you now. Now dispute it with the same vigor. Come at me. And they will never be able to. You know, and that's why I say, guys, just stick to your guns, do the learning, do the research, and the more you read, you don't sound like a scammer because you know what you're talking about. See, scammers don't read. They just read a script and they read from that script every day.
You know, that's the thing with Bitcoin. The biggest problem, the biggest hurdle to be taken is not so much doing the payment, but it is letting people break out of the habit of paying with a credit card and with cash money. That's the biggest issue. And that's one of the things many salesmen here have, like, yeah, we're used to being paid in euros. We want to have it in euros, speaking as a European here. Whereas some now say, okay, we accept Bitcoin because we know it works. But you still got plenty of people who say, yeah, I'm not invested in Bitcoin, so I'm not doing it. Whereas some sellers say, look, we know it works. We do not have that much experience. You can do it, but we prefer the fiat cash. And that's just a mindset which needs to occur here. And from the talks I had with you, and even with past news articles I've been sharing on Twitter, I know in Africa, you guys are very progressive where it concerns crypto and Bitcoin. I believe was it 2021 or 2022? News articles after El Salvador said, we take it as national currency, where everyone was like, ooh, very first small country. Central African Republic were like, yeah, we're the second country. We're building an economic zone around it. And I was like, you guys are now further ahead than El Salvador. Everything is still going to El Salvador, all focus. But meanwhile, in Central African Republic, the economic zone is being implemented. And I'm seeing people like Bitcoin Dada, like you and Machankura, who in the last few years have developed such a nice network for mass adoption. And I'm like, dude, we're in the West here, in the US, in Europe, we're screwed. I mean, you guys are further ahead as us.
Yeah,
really.
You guys in Europe, I'm not gonna lie, Europe's a bit
serious here. The things you have built over there and the adoption, you guys are further ahead than us here. I mean, here in Europe, okay, it's becoming popular, between brackets, for certain salesmen and companies to accept Bitcoin as a payment. The possibility exists. But furthermore, creating infrastructure like the Azteco checks you've talked about, and from previous episode, whereby you can buy electricity with Bitcoin that I've talked about with Machankura.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
that's not a possibility even here. Here we still have to fill in our tax receipts. Did you buy Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency so that we may tax you? I'm like, dude, seriously? And then you heard your story, and I'm like, you guys are way ahead of us.
and the thing is, I think part of it is, and thank you for saying that, but I actually also think it's, look, for Namibia's part, I can tell you, we are so early. For those of us that know about Bitcoin, those of us that are using it, even that is like a drop in the bucket of Namibia itself, right? Of people that don't know about it, don't know about how to use it. And that's why the work is I think that's why we're always trying to push forward, because we need people. That's the whole thing. It's a necessity for us that are on the ground as Namibians. Other Namibians need it. They just don't need that. They don't know it's an option that's there for them in their time of need. So it's up to those that know to be able to show them. But again, like we said earlier, for it's not for everybody to just start at the deep end. Some people are gonna start with the altcoin. Some people are going to start with the oh my goodness, I think these NFTs are going to, and it is not our job to try and chop them off at the head and say, no, never die. No, that's not the job. The job is to say, okay, you know what? Just know, as Bitcoin maximalists, as people that are Bitcoin only, we are here when you want to really understand what's going on. But if you want to go throw away your money and get rug pulled, I've been rug pulled. It's not a good feeling. I still hold the coins. It's been 2 years. I can't get rid of them. They're just there in a wallet that I can't even move them from. They just sit there. I keep that wallet just to look at them, to remind myself of how smart I thought I was, okay? Until I said, I'm not smart. Let's do the work. And once you start doing that, you start saying, okay, so I think it's up to us, those of us that are Bitcoin educators, people that are really about Bitcoin, to say, guys, go and find out. Go pay your school fees. Go pay your school fees like I did if you want to. But when you're ready to graduate to what's really going, the resources are here will help you. We'll give you the books. We'll give you the what. We won't speed feed you unless you want to pay us, but we'll give you the resources. You can go do it all yourself, like we did.
It's the learning money. It's the learning money, and I'm going to admit I've done it in much earlier live streams as well, but I'm going to repeat it. I've also had my learning money lost with Bitcoin just by learning fundamentals, and this is going to sound harsh, but I lost 0.1 Bitcoin, which is quite a lot.
What didn't you back up?
What did you not back up? I still have the wallet. I can still see it, the private address, but I can no longer access it. And I can guarantee you, when Bitcoin hit 69,000 US dollars in 2021, that one stinged. I was like, that's almost 10K that I've lost. This hurts so much. Now it's better. It's about 2,600, but if it goes towards 100K, I'm going to be like, oh, that's going to hurt.
Well, if you go to the Bitcoin halving party, it's going to be a crazy day for you.
Well, in any case, I made it back. No, I've got back the amount and a little bit surplus. That amount is still lost, but through DCAing, luckily, I have back an amount slightly bigger, but I'm not.
I mean, it's not lost. One day one day you might somehow get the keys like that other guy that got his keys again from 2012, managed to get his Bitcoin. But if you don't, it's not a loss, it's a donation. You donated it to the rest of us and to yourself for remembering your new stash's keys. So you just donated to make Bitcoin more valuable.
That was actually going to be my follow-up
oh, my bad, sorry.
feedback. I indeed was planning to say, but I'm going to see it as a donation towards the Bitcoin network. I've lost 0.1. Some people will call me an idiot, and I'll be like, it's a sacrifice. Effort. Sorry.
That's a hell of a sacrifice. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to sacrifice that. Like 500 sats is okay.
No, I really lost 0.1. And you can see, because it was on a Coinbase wallet, and sometimes I still see, because I still have the address to verify on the Blockchain Explorer, I'm like, oh, damn it.
Let me go for a walk. I'm going to remember this somehow.
No, but in any case, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm still a Bitcoin supporter, and that I run a node, and that I, mine with a small miner, but that I did not lose trust in Bitcoin. I know the fundamentals, and to be honest, it was a bloody mistake from my part. That's where it comes down to it. And you've got plenty of people in the crypto sphere, even in Bitcoin, they're saying, yeah, I made good profit, good gains. And something like that happens, and they're like, oh, it's insecure, I'm leaving it as it is. Whereas I'm more going to tell guys, you need to be honest with yourself. Bitcoin is the ultimate democracy. Majority vote counts. Even if it's 51% majority, that's the majority which is going to count. And at a certain point, you need to be honest with yourself. I made a mistake of losing 0.1 Bitcoin. I own up to it by reason I lost it due to my own fault. I forgot the password, which was encrypted, that I originally used. That's my entire mistake. And some people will say, yeah, but that means it isn't secure because you need to be able to recover it. No, in the fundamentals it is. That's security. That's the only thing you need to safeguard. It's your secret pass phrase. If you don't have it, you don't have access to your coins. Plain and simple. And
that's what people. It's great. It's great that you pointed that out. I think it's very important for people to remember that when you spin up a Bitcoin wallet, a Lightning wallet, what you need to do is put a little bit of Bitcoin in. 20 sats, 50 sats, 100 sats, whatever you see as a little. Delete the wallet and restore it. If you cannot, and then see, once you restore it, your Bitcoin is there. If that process does not work, you messed up, and you should not be, you need to be able to have your wallet, wherever it's lying, if it's on a computer, if it's on a phone, you need to be able to destroy that device and still spin up that Bitcoin wallet somewhere else. If you cannot do that, you do not hold access to your Bitcoin. That is not how that works. People keep forgetting that aspect. Now, people say, yeah, but OKIN, you use custodialship. And as I said at the beginning of this thing, I also understand how to self-custody Lightning. It's not that crazy. It's just people don't want to do the work and reading. So all of this is to say, you need to know how your security, like as you said, it was your own error. Everybody needs to test, and not only once, not only, once every 3 years or once every halving. No. At least like you would if you go and open your safe to make sure your key still works to get into your safe. Make sure that your safe is still your safe. Like, break your things down. Like, make sure, like, literally just back up. Get your backup out, spin it up again, make sure, use it on another device. Try, if you spin it up on Blue Wallet, which you shouldn't do, you should be spinning it up offline, but okay. You spin it up on Blue Wallet, throw that Blue Wallet 12, 24 words into Sparrow Wallet. Spin it up there. Does it show you the same stuff? And vice versa. These are the ways of you being able to see, oh, okay, my software, even if this company goes out, my Bitcoin is totally accessible off of another software. So it's not closed source to all of that you need to do, because this is your Bitcoin. It's nobody else's.
Yeah, that's, by the way, one of the funny things that I've seen this week and last week occurring on Twitter with Ledger and their recovery service. I've seen plenty of guys being, oh, I don't trust Ledger anymore. I'm destroying my hardware. Yeah, okay, cool. If you have the recovery phrase, you only lost your ledger, and that's about it. And still in the comments you have people, why would you destroy your Bitcoin? I was like, as long as you have the mnemonic phrase, you're fine. I mean, you can even buy another ledger, which is, by the way, one of those insane things that they are doing, destroying the ledger, because they have an opt-in service for recovery of your mnemonic phrase. You don't even necessarily have to say, yes, I want you to do it. No, it's an opt-in service.
Yeah, but the whole thing
and
is,
I'm like, come on, guys.
but that's the crazy thing with, and this is why Bitcoiners have always said, if you're going to use Bitcoin, use it on something that only does Bitcoin. Do not use something like a trust wallet or a ledger. Now, people, the truth of the matter is not everybody's going to look into what is a parent seed and a child seed and how do they work, and how a device could actually have a parent seed and all of you child seeds, which is what I'm not going to mention any names, but there is a crypto wallet that I think is exactly that, and it's very dangerous. Now, you still do get 12 words. You think you have a fully non-custodial wallet because you have 12 words. What you don't know is that they can use that parent seed to redo those 12 words and bring them up. So if you didn't put a passphrase on, and like a BIP, I think it's BIP 49 or whatever it's called, if you didn't do one, or BIP 38, if you don't do one of those, they can literally not only see your how much you have in that wallet, they can use it, because they have the private keys to sign that transaction. Now, if people don't go as far to be like, hold on, let me go see how Bitcoin addresses and wallets are actually created, and go and look at it like you can do in those courses that I was talking about, you won't think about this. You'll just be like, ooh, my ledger is cool. No, you guys are no. The whole thing of Ledger having this opt-in thing is to say, what did they have before? Because you can't read that code base. So you don't know if they were using parent seeds. So even if you break your Ledger and you still use that seed phrase somewhere else, dude, that thing can be respun up by that original parent seed. So what the people should be doing is moving their money away from anything Ledger affiliated to something that is free and open source, like Seed Signer, something that continues to be battle tested and scrutinized, like Cold Card. Like, it's
Bitcoin Core wallet, period.
Or just spin up a Bitcoin Core node and then create a whole new one and put it in there. Like, there's many different options that you can do, but breaking your ledger isn't going to solve the problem.
No, I mean, as an alternative, and that's something I've been advising to people, is simply by saying you download the Bitcoin Core wallet, you let your mnemonic phrase be made, write it down, transfer your coins, but the Bitcoin Core wallet not being saved on your computer, you put it on a freaking USB stick. Same principle, much safer.
Yeah, but you can also just download Bitcoin Core from one computer onto a USB stick, like literally wipe a whole other computer, only put Linux on it, take this USB, install the Bitcoin Core on there, right? And then literally have nothing else but Bitcoin Core on that computer and Ethernet cable connected to it. That thing, there you go. How you come get that thing? You can even spin it up. You can spin up Bitcoin Core on a virtual machine on your end. Like, there's so many ways that you can literally do this. It's just people need to find. They just have to ask. Find it out. There's infos everywhere. And we got ChatGPT now. Seriously.
Yes, ChatGPT. That's an entire other discussion. I
dare
say I'm not an all too big fan of the use of ChatGPT as it is being currently used everywhere. So
it's crazy. I'm not. But let's not go into that. That's a rabbit hole of its own.
Yeah, I'm seeing we're 1 hour 23 minutes in. Generally, I try to keep it below 1 hour. So
we should probably wrap up.
I might congratulate you, because this is going to be probably the longest live stream I've done to date.
Oh, yeah, Namibia wins again.
Nice. No, before I end the broadcast, other special announcements you want to make, something which is happening with EasySats or in the Discord channel, special event you want to promote, I'm going to say you have the floor. Go ahead. You can promote it.
Awesome. So before I do that, I just want to say again, Dimitri, thank you for having me for this candid conversation. It was really great. I think people will, just from the interaction, see that Bitcoin isn't about just being at odds with everybody all the time. Like, even though a lot of people think it's just about warring with each other, no, it's not about that. I don't actually have much of anything to promote. I will say this: my country is awesome. Everybody should come see it. I'm literally trying to build a circular economy here where people can get economic emancipation through Bitcoin and literally live their best lives. For those of you that are not Namibian, we do have what's called a nomad visa. That information will be going up on my Discord channel as well, how you can apply for that. That nomad visa allows you to live up to 6 months in Namibia, okay, as a foreigner, and work from Namibia. So you can be here going on safaris for 6 months, do all of that, right? Up to 6 months. And then also, of course, you can come spend your Bitcoin, and we can help throw more Bitcoin events and everything. We are looking and speaking with more and more tourism companies, just so that people can actually fly in, do all of the entire things that they want to do on a safari or an African tour, and do it in Bitcoin for as much as they can. As EasySats, we're always pushing for more integrations, easier ways to get people on the ground to understand what's going on. EasySats and BTC mining, even though they are both mine, they are coming together to start a pilot project with schools. We are starting with the same first school, I think, mid to end of June, where we will be setting up a node at the school so people can help donate to the school itself. This is a school in one of the more impoverished areas in the town, so people can help with renovations. We're going to try and say things like, hey, a bucket of paint is so many satoshis, and you can donate that directly to the school's wallet, node, and then that will be able to. We'll also go talk with the other stakeholders, like where they will go spend the Bitcoin to buy these materials, so that those people can accept Bitcoin. We'll be putting up a Bitcoin node, like I said, a node. We will be running a Bitcoin miner that we're going to be donating to the school for a period of time, so the kids can get to know how do Bitcoin miners work, how we can use the excess heat, how all these things can be allocated for different resources. And then, of course, moving through to different schools throughout the country. We are working with some of the ministries and talking with people in the ministries to try and just streamline it to make sure we do get to as many people as we can, so that people get the information that is needed.
Cool.
I think that's all I have to say.
Very nice you've said it, and once again proven the point of Bitcoin being real magic internet money. So with that, I'm going to say, I'm going to end the broadcast. Thank you all for watching. Check out Nikolai's website down below. It's being quoted in the description down below. Naturally, if you like the subscription, naturally, I have to chill a little bit of my live stream as well. Please like, subscribe. You guys know the drill. Whatever. Thank you all for watching, and until next time. Bye.
Cheers.